Good afternoon, Bitcoiners. Congratulations to everyone who holds Bitcoin because we're now in all-time high territory. Bitcoin after the election last week exploded from around 70,000 to 80,000 this weekend. And as I speak, Bitcoin has just crossed $85,000 a coin on Monday here, the 11th at almost 2 p.m. And the question on everyone's mind is, why is Bitcoin going up? Well, yes, the election has a lot to do with it, but it's bigger than that, and I will explain. And it's a huge monumental shift in who is buying Bitcoin. So before the election, the price was hovering in the low 70s, in the high $60,000 mark, around 68,000 to 72,000. And you could see that money was really just sitting on the sideline trying to get a gauge as to who was going to win the election. Was it going to be President Trump or is it going to be Vice President Harris? Now, both of the candidates had expressed support for Bitcoin. So it wasn't going to be bad either way who won the election. It was just going to be a matter of how good it was going to be. And Harris had expressed support for crypto, but President Trump had explicitly, at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville earlier this summer, had expressed support for Bitcoin itself. And he made the promise that if he was reelected to be president, that he was going to create a national Bitcoin reserve. Now, what is that? Now, the United States already has a national oil reserve where the country stockpiles oil in the case of an emergency or a rainy day or any kind of a conflict with other countries that produce oil, basically to ensure the security, the energy security of the United States. And so in the same way, President Trump promised to create a Bitcoin reserve. But why would a country need a Bitcoin reserve? Now, if you are seeing Bitcoin as eventually becoming the world reserve currency, the currency that would act as collateral for international trade, you will need Bitcoin. And that's where this is going. This is really, really huge. It's something that I've been talking about for a few years now. When people ask me, Mark, where do you see the future of Bitcoin going? And I say, well, I see it as the fundamental security of all international trade. It's going to be the world reserve currency. It won't necessarily be what you and I use to buy groceries in the United States, in Canada, Europe, or anywhere else around the world. It's really not going to be used for daily currency. I mean, it's really, Bitcoin is too big for that. That's like using the Concorde to go across a city. I mean, it's just the wrong tool for the use. A Concorde is much more powerful than just to take it across the city. You use the Concorde to go across the ocean. And in the same way, Bitcoin is much, much more too powerful to use in daily transactions like at a grocery store or at a gas station or all the things that we use for day-to-day commerce. Bitcoin is for international commerce. It's for much larger purchases. And that's where Bitcoin is going. Currently, international commerce is backed by United States Treasury Bonds. Trillions of dollars of United States Treasury Bonds are used to facilitate global trade every day. They're used to back loans, mortgages around the world, this sort of thing. It is the foundation of international commerce. But because of the United States' reckless spending over the last 30 to 60 years, these bonds are slowly losing value and we're losing confidence. Global players around the world are losing confidence in these United States bonds because of the reckless spending, especially over the last 4 years during the COVID epidemic, or pandemic, as I should say, as it's clearly now being seen as. United States yearly deficits now are around $1.5 or $2 trillion. The money printing is just going crazy. So these bonds are slowly being seen as not being the foundation that the world thought it would be. So President Trump and his advisors are seeing what other Bitcoiners like myself are seeing. Bitcoin will become the world reserve currency. So when Trump won last Wednesday morning at around 5 a.m., that's when the price of Bitcoin really started to run up. And we had one of the largest run-ups in price on Wednesday, the day after the election. Now, it wasn't only the victory of President Trump that made the price of Bitcoin up. There's actually something else that I think is more significant than President Trump's promise to create a Bitcoin reserve. And that was that the Republicans won the United States Senate. The Republicans will be in control for the first time in many years for the United States Senate. And this is important because under new Republican leadership, the chairwoman of the Senate Banking Committee will be a senator from Wyoming, a woman named Cynthia Lummis. Now, Lummis is a very important character because she is probably the #1 proponent of Bitcoin in all of Congress. And she's going to be chairing the Senate Banking Committee. That's very, very important. So not only will Bitcoin be important for international trade, but also for this strategic reserve that is going to be created. She will be the one who will actually be shepherding legislation through Congress to create the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And because the Republicans have control over the Congress for the next 2 years, this legislation is almost a fait accompli. It's almost done. It just has to go through the Senate Banking Committee, through the similar committee on the House side, and then it has to be reconciliation, and then it'll be sent to President Trump's desk for signing. And then we're going to have a Bitcoin Strategic Reserve for the United States. And the United States will buy, I think President Trump says he wants to buy 500 Bitcoin a day for the next several years. Well, what does that mean? Well, only 400 Bitcoin are currently created, I think, every week. So how can you buy 500 Bitcoin a day if only 400 are being bought every week? Well, the question is you can, but you're going to have to force a lot of people who currently hold to sell. How do you get people to sell who don't want to sell? You offer them a higher price. And that, to me, is why we're really seeing an enormous rise in Bitcoin's price. Bitcoin has gone up 25% just in the last week alone. And I'm pretty sure we're going to see 100,000 Bitcoin certainly before the end of the year, and maybe even by American Thanksgiving, which is around November 25th, 26th, depending on what Thursday makes Thanksgiving this year. So extremely bullish on Bitcoin. Now, because we have new all-time highs, this signals the official start of Bitcoin's bull market. What is a bull market? The bull market is when the price goes up continuously, steadily. Yes, there'll be little dips along the way, but it'll overall go up and up and up. So the bull market has started. Now, how long will this bull market last, Mark? Well, generally bull markets last from anywhere from 6 to 12 months in Bitcoin. So we're sitting here in November. We're going to have a bull market well into next spring and possibly as long as into next fall. Now, what is my price target for Bitcoin? It's $220,000 a coin. Now, some people say that's crazy, but other people are saying it could go as high as $500,000 a coin. And if the United States government is buying 500 Bitcoin a day, I think that $500,000 might even be low. Crazy as it may sound, I think this is where we're going. So if you don't hold Bitcoin yet, I urge you to get on right now. Contact me for ways to buy Bitcoin. If you don't know how to buy Bitcoin, there are a couple of sites that I recommend. One is Swan Bitcoin. Another is Kraken. Contact me for links about how to do that, or just do a simple search and buy your Bitcoin. But get in touch with me to actually find out how you can use Bitcoin's full properties of taking control of your wealth, becoming free and sovereign with your Bitcoin, because that is unlocking Bitcoin's true power for yourself. It's not just owning Bitcoin and trusting someone else to hold it on an exchange for you. It's actually taking control of it and having Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the world's first and only unconfiscatable asset, and it's going to become the underpinning of international trade. So get your Bitcoin if you don't already. Now, what do you do if you already own Bitcoin and you want to get more? You want to add to your stash? Well, you want to be looking for dips in the price. Unfortunately, we haven't had a dip all week, but the price will not continuously go up and up and up every day. Usually in a bull market, there are frequent pullbacks of 5 to 10%, maybe even 15% in the price of Bitcoin. It's these dips that you want to buy Bitcoin and add to your stash. So be on the lookout for little pullbacks. You want to take advantage of this because remember, the bull market is going to continue for the next 6 to 12 months. So when the dip comes, there are going to be people who are saying, oh, the bubble has burst. It's over. It's done. no more Bitcoin rises. Bitcoin's going to go back to 50,000 or 40,000 or maybe even zero. But don't listen to these people. You want to be buying the dip. So Bitcoiners, this is your chance. Bitcoin has begun. Republicans are in charge. Bitcoin is going to become the world's reserve asset. And anybody who has one Bitcoin is going to be extremely wealthy in the future. So start adding to your stack if you already have Bitcoin and you want to own Bitcoin. You want to own just a little bit. Start with $100 if you can, because even that will be valuable. So over and out from here. Let the good times roll. Bitcoin is going up. We're in a bull market. Republicans are in charge. Bitcoin is going to become a strategic reserve asset of the United States, and the world is going to change. And I think the next step after Bitcoin becoming a reserve asset is that the international financial system, which is underpinned and controlled by the Bureau for International Settlements, their local branch here is called the Federal Reserve of the United States. I think all of these institutions are going bankrupt and they're going to be thrown out of world affairs. So very exciting times, but let's keep our eye on the ball. Let's keep our eye on the price. Let's accumulate Bitcoin during dips, and let's get rich together. Bye now.